Hi, Bill Caskey here. This is not going to be a Q&A session. This is going to be more of a heart-to-heart talk about our economic situation. And over the last few weeks, we've of course seen the market decline quite a bit. You can call it deteriorate or decline. And a lot of us are looking at our assets and saying, where is this thing going to bottom out? Where is it going to go? Another question as a sales professional you probably have is what effect is this going to have on me? I know that some in the financial business have already felt the effects of this slowdown, but others have not. And the question is, what happens and what can you do to prepare yourself? You know, we've always heard of the saying, I choose not to participate in this recession. And while I think that's a good attitude to have, I also think there are some things you can actually do to get ready and to preempt what I think is inevitable, which is there's going to be a slowdown. You're going to have some of your customers who are reluctant or hesitant to pull the trigger on purchasing, unless you're selling something like food, which we all have to have food. But if you're selling a luxury item or a nice to have versus a gotta have item, over the next few months you're going to run into resistant prospects. And so I've put together a list of 7 things that I'd like to go over today. This is going to be about a 5 to 6 minute video. And it's not going to be overly produced or no fancy music or no graphics. Just going to be you and I talking with the whiteboard here on some things that you can do beginning immediately to prepare yourself for what I think is inevitable, which is a pretty significant slowdown. Number 1, shore up your sales process. Here's an example. Recently, I got into motorcycling. I bought a Honda. And I don't know how many used Hondas are sold throughout the year on Craigslist and eBay, but I would think tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Do you know that Honda.com does not have a page on their site where I, as a used Honda owner, can go and say, I want some more information, or, hey, I'm a Honda owner now, I may be in the market for something else? Nothing. Do you know how much business they lose by not engaging the aftermarket? No, so you may not sell a product that has an aftermarket situation like that. But think about all the different people that you know and have spoken to over the last year or two where you don't have their email address or don't have contact information. Over the next year, you've got to shore up your process. You've got to get contact information. It's going to be too hard to find brand new prospects. You've already got a database of people probably already that exist in your files that could be prospects for your product or service. But also you're going to be meeting other people too. Make sure you tighten up your process, your lead acquisition, your database process, and of course your sales process too, which we're going to get to in a minute. But don't forget about that, because there's too many people you'll meet who at least have a propensity to use you for things. You got to make sure you capture the information. Number 2, find the customer's problem. You know that Brian and Brooke and I preach on this all the time. But it's amazing to me how few people, even after they've been through training and after we've taught them, it's only a handful of people, the top echelon, top elite performers who really get this. What I mean by finding the problem is when you go in to pitch a solution for your product or your prospect, don't start with the features and benefits. Start with why people are bringing you in, why people are using you, what kinds of problems and conditions exist at your client's place of business that warrant them to be interested in your product. Sell to problems, sell to pain, sell to possibility. Don't sell your product. It just makes all the difference in the world. And by the way, there's going to be plenty of pain to go around, so you're better off selling the pain because it's going to be really easy to find. You can go to CaskeyTraining.com. There's all sorts of products there. Same Game, New Rules is a book that we wrote here a few years ago. It's still in a current printing. It's got all the stuff you need to know on it. Same Game, New Rules. Number 3, get really good at the economic equation. Joe, I'm going to go over to the board here. Here's the deal. The customer has a problem or a pain. That pain costs him money to have. You come in with a solution that also costs money. It's called your price or the acquisition cost. The question is, if all the prospect is looking at is the cost of your solution or the price, and is not looking, or you haven't helped him determine does this problem that he has cost any money to have, you're only going to be looking at half the issue. So during a slowdown, people are going to be very focused on price. Therefore, you have to be very focused on the cost of the problem you're there to solve. And I know you've heard us talk about that in ad infinitum in a lot of videos and a lot of blogs, but I think it's going to be more important as we go forward in the slowdown that you get really good at this. If you're not good at this, guess what the prospect's going to do? He's always going to be looking at one thing, and that is this. And he's going to be saying, what's your price? I can get that 20 cents cheaper or 20% cheaper somewhere else. So get really good at denominating the pain. I'm going to sit back down because I'm an old man. I can't stand up that much. Number 4, tighten up your message. If your message is about saving money, making money, or productivity, you are golden. If your message is not about that, make it about that. I would challenge you that everyone watching this, what they do solves a problem that costs a company money. And so you've got to make sure your message and what you're delivering over the next couple years is relevant to the prospect. And if there's a lot of pain there, you can't go in saying, hey, this new high-tech whiteboard's really going to be cool. It's going to look great on your wall. They're going to say, how much is it? And you're going to say $40,000. And they're going to say, I don't have that in the budget. This is tough times, baby. We're losing customers. But if you can help them see how that whiteboard might save them money, help them be more efficient and productive, or maybe even generate new clients, that's the message people are going to want to know. So make sure your message is right. If it's not, you're going to be either out of business or your business is going to be very slow.